Good day, everyone! Today, I will be presenting the Lesson 3, 2.3, Bruner's Discovery Learning Theory and Inquiry Method.
So first, who is Jerome Bruner? Jerome Bruner was an American psychologist who made significant contributions to human cognitive psychology, cognitive learning, and in educational psychology. Bruner also helped launch the cognitive revolution in psychology. His work influenced the field of education, especially in the areas of curriculum development and teaching methods. Learning is an active process in which learners construct new ideas or concepts based upon their current or past knowledge. So, learning is an active process where learners build new ideas or concepts by connecting them to their existing knowledge. As they engage with new information, they make sense of it by relating it what they already know, shaping their understanding through experience and reflection. So now, let's proceed to the major theoretical framework of Bruner. First is cognitive gestalt position. Cognitive gestalt position is a school thought that emphasizes how the mind organizes sensory inputs into meaningful wholes rather than individual parts. The second one is grasping the structure of a subject is understanding in a way that permits many other things to be welded to in meaningful. Bruner 1962, page 28. So here, as you can see, the picture shows about spiral curriculum, representation of knowledge, which are enactive, iconic, and symbolic. Theory of instruction, which are the predisposition to learn, structure of knowledge, effective sequencing, and reinforcement, discovery learning, and categorization. Now, let's proceed to the four principles, which are structure knowledge, intrinsic motivation, process-oriented, and errors and feedbacks. First, what is structure knowledge? Structure knowledge is any idea of a problem or body of knowledge that can be presented in a form simple enough so that the particular learner can understand it in a recognizable form. For example, teaching a math, particularly in the understanding algebra. The second one is intrinsic motivation. So intrinsic motivation is the learning does not mean absorbing information but actively analyzing problems and seeking solutions. So for example, a person who loves reading a books, they don't read for reward or gain recognition. They read because they love it or they enjoy the stories. The third one is process oriented. And the last one is error and feedbacks. So error and feedbacks is a valuable of learning. For example, if a student writes, she go to the store every day, the teacher might provide feedback that you should use goes instead of go for the third person singular. Based on Bruner, learning occurs at three stages. The first one is inactive. So what is inactive? Inactive is learned through movement or action. For example, a young child learning to ride a bike. Instead of simply being told how to ride, the child actively engages with the task by trying to balance, pedal, and steer. Through these physical actions, they learn how to ride. The child's experiences of trial and error, falling and getting up, the second one helps them to internalize the skill of riding the bike. For example, A child learning about the solar system might look at a colorful diagram or a model of the planets orbiting the sun. Instead of physically experiencing the planets or their movements, the child interacts with a visual representation of the solar system. This iconic representation helps the child understand the relationships between the planets and their positions. It learns through abstract symbols. For example, a child learning to read. The child is taught to recognize and understand the letters of the alphabet, which are symbols that represent sounds and words. Through practice, the child learns to combine these symbols to form words and sentences, which represents ideas or concepts. So in this case, the child is using abstract symbols, letters and words to understand language. So now, let me introduce to you the spiral curriculum. Bruner believes that when students discover it by themselves, it increases their responsibility to learn on their own and motivation to learn. So Bruner's concept of spiral curriculum involves revisiting key concepts at increasing levels of complexity over time. In this approach, learners encounter the same topics multiple times, but with more depth and sophistication as their knowledge and skills develop. This is also help reinforce learning, making it more meaningful and easier to understand as learners build to their prior knowledge. Let's proceed to the last part of my discussion, which is all about educational implication of Bruner's theory. The first one is the spiral curriculum, which I've mentioned earlier. The second one is teachers should select learning activities according to the stage of development of student. And the last one is education, which begins with multiple activities. And that would be all. Thank you.